today. It's a privilege to be part of the body, 2018, and we look to develop it more and more as this goes on. I give honor to the organizers, the excellencies that are here, dignitaries, and everyone else also that's part of this discussion. I'm talking today about futurism in Nigeria. It's a funny topic, but bear with me. Quickly, what does this mean to anyone? The medallion plus 1986. What would that equal as a general question to anyone that's watching? The medallion, 1986.
Is that one they showed
there's a prize for you later on. We'll get back to you later on. Wole Soyinka won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature in 1986, being the first African to have done so. It's a very enviable prize to have won. More importantly, it was the first time I came to the UK. As well as being asked in school, do you have roads in your country? Do you have cars in your village? Also, the theory that you can have a gathering of birds and you cannot kill them and roast them to eat is fantastic. It's too encumbered. Apart from the playground jests and questions, which could be easily avoided and get accustomed to, there's another dynamic part of that, which is a grown-up version of it. The media forever show images of Africa as a destitute, hill-ridden, poverty-stricken place. And there's a contrast. I was thinking, once now we've won the Nobel Prize, I was going to be celebrated wherever I go. We all like red carpets for me, but that wasn't the case. The reality of growing up in the UK was this sort of thing. I was born in Nigeria, Lagos. I went to Trinity Nursery and Primary School, where during the school term we used to get chartered by taxis to and from the school. So the experience and the questions in the UK playground about do you have roads, do you have a pet lion at home, it was kind of strange to me because I wasn't really part of that discourse. It also goes to show the power of the media and what could be embedded in people's minds. So in the UK, we lived outside London. It took about 40 minutes drive to get into London. And during that time, journey, I only come alive really when we drive towards London, because you see buildings. The dazzling London skyline was an amazing thing to have seen. It intrigued me and stirred in me the passion for buildings and architecture. For me, architecture is not just for landmarking or making money. It's a source of joy from a particular where I stand. So studying architecture was challenging, to say the least, but the experience forced me to make sure that I don't waste my experience, the journey through the 7 or 10 year tenure of qualifying. And earlier on I was determined to start my own practice. So the best way is more rewarding, I get satisfaction from it and the rest of it. Hence, architecture, Adewale Adeyeye architect started in different forms and guises over the years. As well as an architect, the study empowered me, enabled me to also venture into other areas of studies and life, including design. That's one of the examples over there. I'm also a novelist. I have a book written upstairs that you can take a look at. So the experience, though tough, was now rewarded, looking back. Perhaps a lesson in life that often, when we've been tested and going through tough things, there's a reward at the end of the day. I mentioned earlier about jesting, the playground, and the grown-up adults, and the propaganda in the newspapers. It was strange to me then being confronted again in architecture with the same slur, actually. In one of my core study book, it's one of the 1,020-page thick book, a history of architecture. Towards the back of the book, near the index, about 7 pages or so, was the concept of Africa. There was no buildings illustrating, there was no images illustrating buildings from Nigeria particularly. So, at this conference, I'm sure in most people's minds, relating, working, associating with Nigeria brings a sense of apprehension and reservation, because a lot of people have been burnt, and that's why most people are still here in the UK, despite the challenges. This is why I was really enlivened when invited to join born in 2018. In terms of Nigeria, I believe we need to look at the forces within and without. That's what I call it. Forces within meaning we have to look at ourselves. What are we doing as Nigerians to make things better? Without, what is outside the nation that's influencing these changes, these issues? There's an old African proverb, adage if you like, that says, if the wall did not crack, the lizard will not get in. Meaning that if we had unity in Africa and Nigeria, if we had a vision to pursue, if we had a goal we were adamant to achieve, when an external influence comes in, it will be stranger to us. This goes not just for Nigeria or architecture. The Windrush issue recently is a testimony of this, where who is to blame for slavery, really? So, for us to make, from my standpoint, architecture work, we need to have identified three main things, which the Honourable Gentleman mentioned earlier, including PEPEC, as a part of solving the issue. There has to be a robust system. We have to have adequate policies and an infrastructure that works. Without this, architecture, building, or any industry is just a pipe dream, in my opinion. An example to illustrate this is the proliferation and the joy of creating estates, of which I'm also guilty to, in Nigeria. Here you have 250 homes in a community. But not only that, they also become their own generator for electricity, their own sanitary team, they become their own manned security officers. This understandably, because obviously that's your plot, that's your developing, it makes sense. This is where the government needs to intervene and help, because without the linking of these pockets of estates by infrastructure, by policies, nothing really will happen. like Janova we say, no man from our this particular example, a state is an island. You cannot continuously be building pockets of self-generating, self-running communities. Though we are happy to work with you to do that. For the long term, it's not sustainable and it's also very expensive. Currently, there's a region of 180 million units of housing needed in Nigeria. At the moment, the government, both private and external, are building 1,000 units per year. I mentioned earlier, my father is an accountant. He's a proud number head. Any conversation we have with him somehow turns into accountancy. Add this, oh, multiply that, this. What is maths going to do, really? Well, anyway, with these numbers, it will take 180 years to build the current requirements of housing needed. 180 years. Lagos has a population of 21 million. In the next 30 years, it will double for 2 million. That's an extra 190 years on top of what we have now. So there is work to be done. We have skilled people that are passionate about the nation, constant voting, and the rest of it. I can move ahead, I can go forwards. Architecture, from our perspective, it's a creative industry. It's both an art and a science. Architecture talks about how a building looks, the aesthetic of a building. Concern ourselves about how you feel it is inside and outside the building. Architecture, for me, is empowering. Architecture creates spaces, not only for economic gains, but for tranquility and enjoyment, part of anyway of life. I don't know, compare a prison cell to a mansion. I'm sure we'll know which one we'll choose for the two. I keep reiterating, all these images, ideas, and people of their minds will be nothing again without robust systems, policies, and infrastructure. For us to really make a mark in a place, a nation that's looking to develop itself and create a better image for itself, we need to really look into different things to make these things happen. Without the involvement and the allowing of a policy that will make building work, make construction work, in terms of agreements, payments, contract, construction, standard of living, how to put things together. All these images are just illustrations. They will not happen. Architecture is more than just a building. It's the coming together of a mind of sources and people and groups, group work, that we also need to passively enjoy often. Architecture is powerful. Architecture gives a nation identity of what it stands for. It communicates the nation's intelligentsia, communicates a certain level of peace. If we look at the skyline of London, Shanghai. Compare that to, say, Iraq or Syria. You don't need to think much about what's happening in that nation, in that country. Also, architecture, my future for architecture for Nigeria is to use the locale, to create a local language, which you can say is African, is Nigerian. Currently, developers, designers are just plucking buildings from an exam board, destined for London or Australia. Just putting it all the landscape in Lagos, for example. As great as Dubai is, you can see the disjunction of the design language of the place, where it's just money, building, put that there. This is like an organization of these sports and nations. Architecture can help strengthen us as individuals. It can help bring together this franchised people and nation to form a coherent whole as a group. I was in stand upstairs and I was asked the question, oh, you guys are responsible for the building not being maintained. We have to question the context that allows that to happen. When you remove maintenance programs, when you cut back on the cost, when construction costs are inflated some 50 times, and only a pittance of that is put towards actual construction. It's not just an individual thing, it's a national issue that is addressed. To this end, I am passionate and living about prospects of Nigeria, what can be done, what has been done. But I keep saying, none of these things will come to life or to light if there's no support on a national level. I say thank you for your time.